Hey everybody, Dan with Pain Free You. Today's topic, it's a frequent question I get all the time, both in comments as well as on some of the success stories. So people are kind of like, where's my checklist? What exactly do I have to do every day to get better? And so I'll tackle that. Breathe in the calm, exhale the chaos. Breathe in the clarity, exhale the doubt. And if you'd like a video with me doing this for a while, almost like a meditation, affirmation type of thing, search YouTube, Pain Free You Breathe, and you'll find it. So, recently did a success story, and there was a comment on YouTube that said, but what did she do to get better? Okay. And I've seen that question at least a dozen times over, the past however many success stories. And I get people joining the group or commenting on other videos. Like, okay, Dan, where's the checklist? What do I do to get better? And so what I will tell you is that my approach is less structured than some. Because some programs will say you need to do this for 30 minutes, you need to do that for 20 minutes, you need to do this for an hour, you need to do that for 2 hours, and before you know it, you've got a to-do list of, a couple hours to many more per day. And then add in many of the things that people on this journey will tend to do because they're trying to learn as much as they can and do as much as they can. So they end up watching potentially hours worth of my videos, other videos, listening to podcasts, reading books, and before you know it, you've got a to-do list that takes you hours to get through every day. And my overall opinion on that is when you're doing that much to get better, your brain has no choice but to observe that and say, Dan's got a big problem. Look at how much work he's doing to fix himself, so he must have a big problem. And so, if you're new to my work, or just want a reminder, when the brain perceives danger, it creates symptoms. When the brain perceives that we're actually okay, we're safe, we're going to be okay, the symptoms can start to lessen in intensity and eventually go away. And I've seen it happen countless times. I've had a number of experiences over the years, primarily my big 13-year journey with chronic pain. But then, since then, I've had a couple instances where symptoms came back, some back pain. I had neck pain, shoulder pain for a period of a couple of weeks. And so, what is there to do? Where's the checklist? And, I've thought about it a lot. I said, well, maybe I'll put a checklist together. And I don't believe that's beneficial because I don't want to give homework. This is more of a knowing versus doing. And I talk a lot. I write about it in the book. I speak about it often. We intellectually get it, but at a certain point in time it clicks, and we go from an intellectual knowledge, textbook knowledge, to a deep knowing, like, I'm actually okay, like the holy crap moment that I talk about. And so does that require a to-do list of 14 things you need to do every single day, and if you don't do them exactly as prescribed, you're not going to get better? I don't like that approach. And the reason for that is because I tried a lot of things. I would meditate, I'd do breath work, I did journaling for a while. At one point when I was all sorts of crooked, I went to physical therapy and I did stretching and had chiropractic appointments early on in the journey before I really committed to this. But I still wasn't getting better. And the big thing that was missing was an authentic feeling of, I'm okay. So what checklist is going to provide you that acceptance and that, wow, I'm really okay moment? I don't think there is a checklist that'll do that. Now, look, you can be great at breath work and meditation and journaling and emotional discovery, and maybe you've gone to therapy and maybe you've done some trauma work. And a lot of people do a lot of those things. But if you're still with symptoms, it's not because you're doing all those things wrong. One key thing that might be missing, and I've talked about this, and the 2 reasons why you might not be better yet, is you may be missing clarity. What's going on? What's causing my symptoms? Because if you're still on the fence and having internal debates as to, well, maybe it's physical because I haven't gotten better yet with this mind-body stuff, so it must be physical. Not necessarily, not so fast. A lot of times people, in doubt, leave themselves open to the brain perceiving more danger because you're doubtful as to what's causing it. So that's why, foundationally, understand this human system. Do the assessments. They're at painfreeyou.com. Download them. Do them. For any symptom you're concerned with, do them individually per symptom. Symptoms created by the brain behave differently than body symptoms created by a flaw in the body or an injury. So that clarity is really, really important in order to move forward. And that helps you get to that deep knowing. And acceptance of that is really key. So, get the foundation laid. Get off the fence. Let's eliminate the internal debate and commit to the fact that I know this is a mind-body condition. And, some people like to put some structure to it. Well, I'll do a little this, a little of that. And, if you want some structure, that's great. But I think the more we structure it into a formal program of 20 things to do every day, the more the brain's going to perceive we got a big problem. And therefore, we need to do more. So for the people watching the success stories, sometimes they don't tell you specifically what they did. And that's frustrating to people. And they'll comment, but what did she do? What did he do specifically? And in the case where they don't spell it out, that means they did not have a checklist. Because if they did, they probably would have said, I had a checklist, and these were the things I did. But absent that checklist being shared in a success story, it's often that they came to the conclusion that I suggest in my daily videos. Clarity, being less and less bothered over time, eventually the brain gets the message that we're okay. And so that is really the to-do. The to-do is learn, assess, accept, teach safety. That's it. Now there's a bunch of different ways to convey safety, and I've done multiple videos on that topic. Sometimes it's self-talk, sometimes it's calm reassurance, sometimes it's letting the stress out of your body, slowing the breath. Right? There's a bunch of other things. It could be as simple as sitting in the sun, watching the squirrels, petting an animal, any number of things. But the foundation of knowing what's going on and committing to say, I'm not going to waver back and forth, I think that's really key. So let's get rid of the idea of I need a to-do list. Where's my items that I need to do every day? Clarity, being unbothered. That starts with understanding it, assessing it, accepting it, and focusing on I'm already okay, safety. So let's keep this simple, folks. I know some people said, well, some of you out there might need more structure. I get it. And if you want to incorporate structure, make sure that structure is creating safety for you and not a demand to do all these things or else, right? Anything you're doing, we want it to be creating safety. So look, if you like meditation, do meditation. But if you wouldn't do meditation if you were feeling great, then I think that can be perceived by the brain as a fixing activity. Same thing with journaling, same thing with breath work. If you were feeling great, would you be doing those things? If yes, great, do them. If they make you feel great, grounded, safer, beautiful, do them. Add your own, create your own checklist. But I find if we are doing these things with an outcome dependence, saying, I'm going to do these things to fix something, that keeps the brain in a mode of, we got a big problem and we're trying to fix it. So I hope this makes sense. Let's drop the idea of needing a to-do list. It's more a matter of becoming and knowing than it is doing a checklist. So I hope that makes sense, folks. And, if you haven't read the book yet, check it out. Pain-Free You on Amazon, Audible, Kindle, Spotify, I think, has the audio book. But check that out. If you want some direct help, join the group, painfreeyougroup.com. All the links are in the description below of every video I post. So, love you folks, and as always, we'll see you tomorrow.